This is a magnified view of many human cells. Like all body cells, these are nourished by tissue fluid. This tissue fluid contains nutrients supplied by the blood, seen here flowing in capillaries. The chemical composition of blood and tissue fluid is constantly being regulated. This regulation is a vital function of the excretory system. The human excretory system is made up of a pair of main organs, the kidneys, a pair of long tubes, a storage organ, and a single tube which leads outside the body. We can see the relation of these organs more clearly in a simplified anatomical diagram. The kidneys regulate the composition of blood by excreting waste materials in the form of urine. The urine flows through the ureters down into the urinary bladder. Eventually, the urine is eliminated from the body through the urethra, the outlet tube. But the kidneys are the main organs of this system. The main function of the kidneys is to regulate the chemical composition of the blood as it flows through them. Among the many chemicals in the blood which the kidneys regulate are metabolic wastes, salts, and water. First, let's find out what metabolic wastes are and where they come from. Throughout our lives, our bodies require many chemical substances to supply energy. Most of these chemical substances come from the foods we eat. In our bodies, these foods are oxidized or burned up. The oxidation of food provides energy for the body and also produces certain chemical wastes. These waste products, indicated in this diagram by black dots, are carried by the bloodstream. These waste products must not accumulate in the blood if the body is to remain healthy. It is the function of the kidneys to remove or excrete these wastes from the blood. Laboratory analysis shows that among these metabolic wastes are urea, creatinine, and uric acid. For proper body functioning, these wastes must not be allowed to accumulate in the blood. In addition to regulating the composition of blood by excreting metabolic wastes, the kidneys also maintain of salts and water in the blood. Some of the salts found in the blood are sodium chloride, sodium bicarbonate, and salts of potassium, calcium, and magnesium. In the blood, these and other salts are in solution in water. The ratio of salts to water is called the concentration. Concentration of salts is regulated by the kidneys. To see this process of regulation, let's take a closer look at the structure of this dissected kidney. Each kidney is made up of nearly 1 million microscopic units. Each unit is called a nephron. This is a simplified cross-section drawing of a nephron. It consists of a number of tiny blood vessels, all bunched together, called a glomerulus, or capillary tuft. Surrounding the glomerulus is a cup-shaped membrane called Bowman's capsule. This acts as a collecting device. Extending from the capsule is a long tubule, surrounded by capillaries, which branch off from the glomerulus. This structural unit, the nephron, regulates blood composition by 2 processes: filtration and reabsorption. It is in this part of the nephron, between the glomerulus and the surrounding Bowman's capsule, that the first process takes place. This process is the filtration of blood. 1 million of these units in a single kidney provide about 8 square feet of filtering surface. Each Bowman's capsule opens into a tubule. Tubules from many nephrons unite to form larger tubes, which ultimately empty into the ureter. The tubule of the nephron is surrounded by capillaries that branch off from the glomerulus. It is in the tubule of the nephron that the second process, reabsorption, occurs. Let's follow the first process, filtration of blood. The blood, with its various components, flows into each kidney. Inside the kidneys, the blood is being filtered by each capillary tuft, or glomerulus. Watch the white and black dots filtering into Bowman's capsule. The white dots represent molecules of some nutrients. The black dots are metabolic wastes, salts, and water. These components of the blood pass through the capsule as a liquid called the filtrate. Larger components of the blood, such as red blood cells, are not filtered, but remain in the blood, circulating through the glomerulus. This illustrates the process of filtration, the means by which certain components of the blood are separated from others. This process, the formation of filtrate, or filtration, continuously takes place in the numerous nephrons of the kidneys. At the same time, the second process, reabsorption, is also going on. In reabsorption, certain components of the filtrate are reabsorbed into the blood. Let's see how. We saw that the filtrate flows from Bowman's capsule into the tubule. Some of the components of the filtrate are required by the body and must be returned to the blood. It is the function of the tubule to reabsorb from the filtrate the right amount of certain components that are needed to maintain a proper blood composition. For example, all the molecules of glucose, a nutrient shown by white dots, pass out of the tubules and are reabsorbed into the blood of the surrounding capillaries. Other components of the filtrate are partially reabsorbed into the blood. For example, some molecules of salts, water, and metabolic wastes, the black dots, are partially reabsorbed and returned to the blood, while others remain in the tubules. The process of reabsorption, then, is the movement of materials from the filtrate back into the blood. 99% of the volume of filtrate is reabsorbed into the blood. The 1% remaining in the tubules becomes a highly concentrated waste material called urine. This waste concentrate, urine, flows out of the tubules into collecting tubes of the kidneys, which lead to the ureters and then into the urinary bladder. Here, urine is stored until eliminated from the body through this tube, the urethra. Now let's see what happens to the other materials that are reabsorbed in the kidneys. We've seen that both filtration and reabsorption take place in the nephron. From the nephron, blood, with components reabsorbed from the filtrate, begins to return to the general circulation of the body. This blood flows from the capillaries of each nephron and out of the kidneys through the renal vein. The renal vein carries this blood back to the general circulatory system of the body. The kidneys have regulated the components of this blood in such a way that the blood will provide a proper nourishment for the tissue fluid surrounding all the body cells. Whenever the composition of the blood starts to change, the kidneys react to correct this. For example, when exercising, our bodies may lose large amounts of water through the skin. Primarily as a means of controlling body temperature, the water is given off in the form of perspiration. When we're exposed to high temperatures or working hard, more moisture than usual is given off by the skin to cool the body. If too much water is lost through the skin, the proper composition of the blood might be upset. However, a tiny gland, the pituitary, located at the base of the brain, discharges a hormone or special chemical into the blood. The blood carries the hormone to the kidneys, where it causes the kidney tubules to reabsorb more water, black dots, from the filtrate into the blood. This maintains the proper amount of water in the body. On the other hand, if we raise the water content of the body by drinking too much liquid, the reverse happens. Water, the black dots, is reabsorbed more slowly, thus allowing more water to be excreted in the urine. Water is only one of the materials in the blood whose concentration is regulated by the kidneys, whose structural units are the nephrons. The nephrons of the kidneys perform their function in two steps. First is the rather unselective filtration of materials from the blood. Second is the highly selective reabsorption of useful materials. Through these two processes, the excretory system regulates the composition of blood, the life-giving fluid which nourishes all body cells and tissues. Therefore, the proper functioning of the kidneys is necessary to the proper composition of blood, one of the foundations of good health.